And last week I noticed something coming up a ton, and that's, you know how resentment. When I say you swallow words, right? When your resentment happens, I'll start with a story that my father told me. My nephew Aaron. Aaron would come home from school and he'd throw his shoes wherever he wanted to throw his shoes instead of putting them in his room when they were supposed to be, and it drove Opa crazy. So he would tell Aaron. At first, he asked Aaron, "Hey, please, show some respect. Put your shoes in your bedroom. Wait till you get your bedroom to drop them off. Um, can you do that for us?" And Aaron continued to ignore it, and this went on for a little while until Dad realized he was getting very angry, and he realized that Aaron was doing something subconsciously that everybody does, right? And this is because we're not being honest. People don't know how to be honest anymore. Um, Aaron was using Dad as a reminder. Aaron didn't. There was Dad could get as loud as he wanted. It was just you waited until the noise was over and you went back to what you were doing. The only person in that situation that was hurt in that was Dad. He's the one that's angry. Aaron doesn't, like, you just reminded me to pick up my shoes. I got it. It's a subconscious thing. It's this habit, this bad habit that it's created. So Dad told Aaron, he said, the next time you do that, I'm going to throw your shoes away. And the next day came and Aaron did it. And so Dad threw his shoes away. And Aaron freaked out and, where are my shoes? Inside. Where are my shoes? I'll answer your question in a minute. And, Vicky had to go get them out of the trash. And Aaron learned something, and after that, he cleaned up his shoes. But what Dad learned is it's just like the movie. He always asks Mom to go to a movie, and Mom says, "I don't like sci-fi. I don't want to go." And Dad's like, "But I go watch romance and stuff, and they're not always great. Sometimes they are. You might like the sci-fi." And Mom, no, no. So after, I guess it was, I don't know how long it was, but after at least a year, he decided, screw it, and went to the movie that he wanted to see. He asked her if she wanted to go. She didn't want to go, so he went by himself. He said when he got home, she was extra lovey for the next month. And that surprised him. But then he realized it was because he needed no advice or opinion from her. He made his own decision. He did exactly what he wanted to do. She had to contribute nothing, right? He did what he needed to do to make himself happy. And that's the thing about resentment, because resentment's going on in both stories. Every time Aaron leaves his shoes there and Mom says no to the movie, he swallows these words. He feels like, aren't I important and I do all this stuff for you? We all do this. I do all this stuff for you. When don't I matter? It's that sort of like, wait, if you cared, you would do these things, but you're not doing these things. So what does that say? And all this stuff goes on, but we know it is like a resentment. And resentment can go one or two ways, right? You either get angry and take an action. At some point, you either go like, and go to the movie yourself, or you throw the shoes away. You do what you need to do. You're not a malicious person. You're not doing it to be mean and to be an asshole. So there's nothing wrong with it. That's just accept that as that. Or like these women or these people who all of a sudden one day blow up and everybody around goes like, oh my God, where did that come from? That's resentment leaning towards the anger portion and an action being taken. The other way to respond to that is to pull in, is to quiet up, to pull in and swallow it down and just keep, never, always, there's no release. And so you end up with depression and all different other kinds of things. Because we're waiting for other people to make us happy. We're waiting for other people to treat us the way that we want to be treated, except that by our actions, we're teaching them how to treat us. And then we get mad that they're not loving us the way that we want to be loved. That they're not being considerate of us the way that we want to be considered. Because we're teaching them that with every action you take. This is why honesty is so important. And yes, not everything you say is going to be popular, and you may piss people off, and you may hurt their feelings, but as long as you're doing it out of, as long as you're doing it out of kindness, or out of care, as long as you're doing it from what I feel is like a loving place, which is these are my boundaries, and you're not being unreasonable, you're not malicious. You're teaching by everything you do. You're teaching by everything you do. When you tolerate something, you're teaching other people something. So you have to learn when people tell you to put yourself first, you got to take care of you. That's what they mean. You are as equally valid as anybody else, because truth is a function. I don't believe there's any such thing as truth. There's no such thing as truth. It depends on whose perspective you're looking from, on what's true or not, right? And so truth is really just more of a function. Um, but that's by putting yourself first. If something bothers you, it's like this morning. This is a perfect example, right? This morning, James ashed on the porch. And I said, please don't do that. I have the porch blocked off. I can't just sweep the porch off. There's an ashtray right there. Please ash in the ashtray. Because it's disrespectful. Because I don't want to spend the rest of my life cleaning. I take time to try to keep it clean. I would like for you to respect the fact that I prefer you to ash in the ashtray, because that will become a habit and it will slowly build up, right? And I wouldn't have said that before this year. I wouldn't have spoken up and been like, because because I'm so agreeable. Oh, he has a long day, or he works hard, or whatever. I just believe people deserve compassion and love, and I always lead with kindness. But until I teach him that actually annoys me, he's going to continue to do it because I haven't said anything up until this point. And so you really do pick and choose. And I'm going to keep talking. I don't know when this is going to shut off, and when it does, I'm sorry. I'm having to use my phone. I have web cameras, but they're 16 years old. And so I think the last system that could support them was XP. I have to get a new webcam before I can. That's why I haven't made videos. I don't have a lot of space on my phone. But I see that coming up and up and up. And I think that we, as a nation, we have a lot of people who are pulling in rather than exploding. Although you do see the exploding too. It's one or two ways. And I think that all of that comes from not being honest. Not being honest. And I know not everybody has that problem. But because I lead with kindness, I get very frustrated. I swallow a lot of words. I don't, I just assume that people don't like me, right? But that's me making an assumption. You are the only perspective you have. And we forget, when James and I, this is another great example of, perspective. When James and I got married, before we got married, we sat down and had a talk. This is what I expect. You agree to this. And one of his things, one of the biggest points, he said, I want to be the only man in your life. Now, I understood that, and he understood that. We both agreed. We got married. Come to find out 7 years later, they're completely different. My understanding of what he meant and his understanding of what he meant, we both thought we knew what the other one was saying. We both thought that we were understood. He thought that I understood exactly what he meant because I thought I understood. For me, I thought, well, of course. I wake up every day and choose you. I choose you. Despite all the tough times that come with any relationship, I choose you actively every day. But that's not what he meant. What he meant is I want to literally be the only man in your life, aside from like family members, right? And that's caused all of our problems because that's not who I am. I'm a very social person, and I won't ignore half the population because they happen to be male. And that's, there are insecurities at play there. But ultimately, I thought I understood, so I agreed. And now we're married, and we're going like, well, that wasn't my understanding of what you meant. I thought you meant this, because mine is the only perspective I had. I didn't think to go like, wait a minute, wait a minute, how actually do you mean that? I need you to, and I know that that's one of my issues. When you ask me a question, it needs to be very specific. Because of all of I'm very good. I lead with possibilities. my mind automatically sucks in every possibility, and I sort of end up somewhere. But it's usually in the wrong place when I feel like I'm lacking information, because I don't know how other people mean things. I've come to learn that because I feel a certain way or I think a certain way about something, that is how everybody else sort of perceives it on an average, and that's not true. And so my issue is in averages. I don't know what the averages are. I'm not average. The way I process and think and is not average. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just not. I don't fit in averages well. I'm always on the low end of the averages. And so I know it's my responsibility to try to understand the world. Because well, that's a whole other subject, getting into teaching and things like that. The difference between teaching something and living something. Letting your actions be the teachable thing, or trying to disseminate information with words. And that's I'm all over the place. And that's why these videos end up so long, because I'm all like, my brain just, I do out impossibilities. That's the easy thing. I understand all of that. But it's like I don't know how to tie my shoes. When it comes to stuff that is simple for everybody else, I'm completely naive about. And that's what I'm learning as I observe myself. I also, in my observations this week, I realized that I'm a horrible conversationalist. I am great at telling stories. But an actual conversation, I do this thing. If we're having a conversation and you're talking, and then I'll interject something. And it's short. I try to keep it short and sweet to interject a thought to show you that I'm engaged in what you're saying, right? For me, it's an interjection. For most people, it's considered interrupting. That's one of the things I've learned this week. And I truly don't mean to interrupt people. I mean to interject. It's just this, I don't need everybody to, like, I should just talk to myself under my breath, I think, is how I solve that problem. And I don't, because it's not like I say everything that's in my head. I probably say, I don't know, 40% of what's in my head, so it's not like, I used to talk a lot more. I used to not breathe in between words. So I feel like I'm making progress. But I'm the one that has to adjust. I can't stand there stomping my feet and getting all mad. Why doesn't anybody understand me? When the common denominator is you, there's your answer. Just like if you're the one that sees something wrong in any situation, then you're the one responsible for fixing it. Humans are messy, aren't we? We're just so messy. Life is messy. But it's beautiful, but it's messy. And emotions, man, feelings, the ability to have feelings, the ability to express and create and just to feel in the first place is sort of sometimes like ecstatic wonder, and other times is like, I need a hole to go hide in. Navigating people is hard for me. Because I don't have traditional conversations. I don't have them in traditional ways, is what I mean. And it takes a lot of effort. It's been taking a lot of effort to just be quiet. That's really hard, because I feel like there are things that need to be said. Words, you're consuming all the time. Right now when you're listening, you're consuming. You're consuming not only me, you're consuming me with your eyes, or maybe you're listening to me in your ear, and you're consuming, like, I got clouds and trees, and, it's a constant bombardment of, like, this information. And so I know I only have to say something once. That's why I interject. I only have to say it once. You don't even really have to hear it, but your subconscious does. And it's like a seed. Everything you consume is a seed. And at some point, somewhere down the road, you'll have a moment where you go, oh, wait, I remember,